Hey there, Smoke Master D coming at you again with another barbecue buyer's guide. This time we're going to be looking at the cheapest quarter-inch reverse flow offset smokers. All right, I've got a few chapter times for you here. If you would, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to, drop a comment down below. Just say hi, helps the metrics. So thank you so much. All right, and I wanted to take a second to go over reverse flow offset smoker basics again. I did this with the first reverse flow offset smoker video I did. I'll put a link to that up top. Some of the prices have changed for those smokers. They're going to be a little bit more expensive now. But I really wanted to take a look in this video at the cheapest ones just for those people starting out who want to go a little bit higher in quality. But you got the firebox there. The heat and smoke goes under the reverse flow plate and then up and around over the food on the grate and to the smokestack there where it leaves on the exhaust damper. So this is going to even out the heat in the chamber. One thing that you're going to want to be careful about is if you get this thing too hot, some of that radiant heat's going to come off of that reverse flow plate and maybe cook the bottom of your food a little bit hotter than the top. But if you're doing low and slow, usually you'll be fine. So just wanted to let you know those things just in case you needed a refresher on the basics of how the reverse flow offset works. All right, the concept. So we're gonna go anything less than $2,200. Cheapest. I know that for a lot of people that's not cheap, but when you're looking at premium offset smokers as a whole, and the first one is a way under that. That is the lowest range. So it's and let's take a look at the next slide just so that you can understand why you would want to go this high on a reverse flow smoker. Um, Yup. So the expensive versus the cheap. When you have a fully welded body that's going to keep in the heat better, the quarter-inch steel. So all of these are quarter-inch steel. The metal is going to hold that heat better. And what happens is when cooler air hits that metal, it gives out that heat back. So it's like a store of heat energy. You open the lid, you close the lid, it's going to help get it back up to temp. If there's cold wind, some of these thinner metal smokers, they'll do fine in hotter weather and better weather. But when it gets to be colder, if you have a bit of wind coming, they're not going to perform as well. There's things you can do to help those things, but a lot of people prefer to have something that's a little bit better built. Most of these expensive ones, the EOS, they're going to be made in the US by craftsmen, here that really know what they're doing. On the other hand, we have the Oklahoma Joes, Highland, and Longhorn. They both have reverse flow versions, and they're going to be bolted together with seams. They're going to have smaller, they actually have 2.5 millimeter thick steel, which is a good bit thinner than the quarter-inch. Lower standards of construction. I believe they're produced in China. I may be wrong about that, but it is another country and they're shipped here for sale. All right. Now, locations of these builders. This part is important just because when you have something that's fully welded, you're going to have to ship it. And the shipping is going to cost you something. Now, the closer that you are to wherever this is, wherever these smoker builders are, the lower the shipping cost is generally going to be. So, and these seem to be spread out pretty evenly across the United States. Not much in the northeastern part, but maybe there's a builder up there that I missed. If so, leave it in the comments. But we're going to start on the west. Cat. in Modesto, California. All right. And then we come over, and Pipe Creek, Texas has Matt's BBQ Pits. So it looks like that's right outside of San Antonio. If you go to the Dallas area of Texas, we've got Cannon Pits and Fabrication in Granbury, and then Johnson Custom Smokers in Ennis, Texas. If we go north to the Midwest, up in Wisconsin, we have Fat Daddy Smokers in Waukesha, I think is how you say that. And then lastly, the originator of the reverse flow Lang barbecue smokers down there in South Georgia, Hoboken, Georgia. All right, let's take a look at some of these overviews. All right, so we're doing this in order of cheapest to most expensive, and we're starting with Matt's Barbecue Pits. And we have the 20 by 40, and this is the reverse flow option. Now, when you go to the website for Matt's Barbecue Pits, it's going to say that the reverse is 200 extra dollars. When I emailed him, he said that he'd restructured his pricing and that it was 1700 for the reverse flow, which makes it the cheapest. Okay. But you can get this so that it is traditional flow. I actually, the picture on the website is traditional flow. I had to Photoshop this to put the reverse flow stack on here. You can actually see a little bit there where I messed it up, and it kind of doesn't look right, but it looks pretty close to what it would be or should be. All right, and here's some of the features. If we start up at the top left, we got a fire grate in there. A lot of people who have the round firebox like to build their fire in the bottom just because it sort of cups it naturally. Spring loaded spin wheel damper, so that's nice. It's supposed to be so it doesn't seize up on you. Slide out racks, wraparound shelf, also great. A door counterweight. So at the very lowest end of offset smokers, I would never assume to find a counterweight there. So that just props it even higher in my estimation. Pot warmer on the rounded firebox there. Hand truck wheels. Okay. So, sort of carting this around like a hand truck, a little stand on the front instead of wheels there. So that is one of the biggest places where some of the savings has probably come for this model. All right, and we're going to look at some pros and cons. Good price, like that wraparound grate and the counterweight and the pot warmer. Lots of good things about this. A large firebox and the fire grate. I'm not as wild about the fire grate. The large firebox, though, is something that I like. It gives you some room to make that fire there. The other thing is, you want that heat to spread out when it's going up and around. The more that it can do that earlier on, the better heat distribution you're going to have through your smoker. The slide out racks are great. No wood rack, so that's another place where they saved some of the money there. The hand truck wheels, they're not going to last forever. You're going to have to replace them. That may not be a big issue for you. The stack position, I kind of like the stack on the back of a smoker. uh, I like it because it helps to draw wherever the stack is, that's where the air is drawing towards, right? How big a deal is it? I can't say. I don't have empirical evidence for that. But that is maybe a con. All right, listed upgrades. So, um, I just looked at whatever was on there. Now, these upgrades aren't going to put you above that 2200 that we have. Some of the upgrades on some of the other ones may, but I just wanted to show them, right? So there's a package deal, $210 that includes this stuff. Lift out coal tray for main cook chamber grilling. So if you want to grill in the main chamber, and you're going to see that on a few of these other ones too. It says it provides no mess clean out, a ball valve for the grease drain. So if you don't have that ball valve, when you open it, there's going to be some grease that drips down on your hands, or gloves when you open it. It's just how it works. One can of touch up high heat paint, high temp paint, and a shirt. You can have a Matt's BBQ Pits shirt, all for 210 extra. So that is an upgrade there. All right, Canon Pits and Fabrication is going to come in second with their $1,900 18-inch Canon reverse flow. So I never really got a good idea whether what was standard, because what I'm showing you in the bottom left, is what is on the website. This 36 by 18-inch cooking chamber, the 18-inch cubed firebox, slide out rack, fire basket, and ash pan, storage below, and wraparound table. Now I did email them, and the rubber wheels do come standard. Okay, so we see the slide out racks up in the top left, slide out ash pan and fire basket there on the bottom. Got a cubic firebox here. Most of them are going to have cubic fireboxes. See the wraparound shelf, it's wood instead of metal, so that's a little bit different. Now, one thing, that cannon that's up there, I'm not entirely sure if that is standard. It looks nice, it gives a little bit of style. It looks like it was cut with a laser somehow, and then welded on there. So I don't know if that is something you would expect, but yep, here is a back view. Has a nice profile. One really strange thing, and it looks like they do this on several of their pits, is they have a top hinge damper. You see that hinge up there on top of the stack? I've never seen that before. Never ever have I seen that. But altogether, a lot of people pay a lot of money for rover versions, and these aren't the biggest wheels ever, but you would be able to get this around your yard, right? So if that is something that you're interested in doing, maybe this is for you. Now, just to be fair, I should say that Matt's barbecue pits that we just looked at, they did have several wheel options. They didn't list any though, so that's why I didn't put it there. But you can call and you can get different wheels for that. It's going to be an upcharge though. And this one at $1,900 we know is within our range. So kudos there. For the pros, wraparound grate, top of the firebox for warming instead of the pot warmer. This is actually the largest firebox with that 18-inch cubed firebox by volume. I did the calculations for all of them. You'll see that in the chart. Rover wheels, wood rack. The tires aren't going to last. You're going to have to replace those at some point. Maybe not the biggest deal, I'm not sure how much that would run you. It's just one thing that is going to happen. So listed upgrades, there weren't any. And I also believe that this one, Canon Pits and Fabrication, the price is not the correct one on the website. He said that he had not updated the website for quite some time. So maybe he needs to get on that. Uh, but and any upgrades maybe he could put on there. So listed none. All right, Johnson Custom Smokers. So they have their compact patio for 1999, right under 2000 there. All right. Now, we've got a lot of great things here. You can see actually here on the left-hand one, the charcoal tray for the main chamber, right? Um, and I'm not sure if this works like the Fat Daddies, but the idea is that wherever the verse flow plate goes, that's where the charcoal tray can go. That's how it works in the Fat Daddies. I'm not sure about this one though, exactly how you configure it. You see some slide out racks up there. So I think slide out racks on most of these, except for maybe the Lang. Double stacks, you don't see that every day. And the idea is that, like I said with the first one, the stack location, where you have the stack is where the draw is going to come to, right? And I guess you can even it out. The really strange thing to me is that why would you want to have two Would you want one side to have more draw than the other? That's a really strange idea to me. But, my preference would probably be to see a little smoke collector on the back. There are some makers who do that. I believe the metal guys, TMG, I think they do it that way. But having these double stacks, it probably works well enough. We've got a pot warmer there, steel wheels on the bottom, like steel wheel casters. All right. From this picture, it looks like the casters are a bit bigger. It also looks like a ball valve there on the drain. Now, does that come standard? Is this just another picture? I think I got this maybe off of their social media, maybe Facebook. So maybe that ball valve drain is not standard. So don't quote me on that one. But yeah, good looking pit there. All right, and the pros and cons: double stacks for even flow, pot warmer, slide out racks, wood rack, charcoal tray for the main chamber are the pros. Cons: twice the work with the dampers. It's strange. The other thing, like, you have the rain caps on the top of those stacks, but if you're pushing it to the side, all of a sudden it's not covering for rain. You would think that you'd be able to maybe like push it up, but I don't know or think that that is how that works. If you do know, if you have a Johnson custom smoker, this compact patio, and you push the caps up and they still protect from the rain, put that in the comments. The casters look a little small. In that last picture that might have had upgrades that looked a little bit bigger. But yeah, they look like some of the smaller wheels that I've seen for this episode. All right, listed upgrades. So if you want stainless steel cooking racks, you can request a quote. All right, and so we have the Cat, 36 by 20-inch reverse flow. It's going to be $2,050, so about $51 more than our last smoker. Let's take a look at it. See the reverse flow plate up there? It's just a big old piece of steel. Pull out racks again. So all of them so far pull out racks. A nice pull bar. Pull out firebox grate. I'm not entirely sure why you would want to pull out the grate. Maybe during the cook. I'm not sure why you would do that. Take a look at the slide damper though. It has diamond shapes and across the hole. So a few of them have the slide damper across the whole back there, but it's going to give you more even airflow into the firebox. So that in itself is a good thing. If you look at the top right picture, we've got a fold down front shelf. Now, of course, the trade off for having that fold down shelf is that it is not wraparound. So you're losing some prep space there, but, if you don't have a lot of space to store your smoker, or you want to be able to get a cover on it that might be a bit smaller, this could be a really great thing having the fold down option there. So yeah, and we see the slide damper there again from the back at the bottom right. So the pros and the cons: fold down front shelf, top up there, I think. Um, Very nice big stack. I like the size of that stack too. Top of the firebox you can use as warmer again, slide out racks, wood rack, 5-inch casters. The bigger the caster you have, the more mechanical advantage, the easier it is gonna be to roll around. The slide damper I just mentioned. Cons: firebox isn't super big, so you're gonna have less room to maneuver, as well as the heat to disperse and spread out before going into the main chamber. All right, listed upgrades. So yeah, they say customize it right there. Um, Grates of 3/16 to a half-inch bars, so you can do that. uh, Charcoal burn box to help contain wood and coals. So yeah, it sounds like a basket you can put in there to keep everything together as it burns in your firebox. Drain ball valve, so that's an upcharge. Um, powder coating instead of the regular paint, 20-inch, 8-inch tall vertical warmer box. So that's going to be very expensive if you want the warmer box on there. And then wagon wheel kit. So, yup, some very expensive stuff that you can get into that would definitely take it out of our less than $2,200 range. All right, and now we've got Fat Daddy smokers with their Contender. All right, it's going to be $2,100. So this is the only reverse flow smoker I've ever seen with front dampers. All right, and we're going to see on the next slide that they have a charcoal box for the main chamber, and I think that they're mainly for that, just for the airflow when grilling in the main chamber. Some nice pull out racks there, pull bar, even with that wraparound shelf has the pull bar extended from it. Steel wheels. So these are big steel wheels. It's going to help that thing move. Again, with the diameter of the wheel, the larger the diameter, more mechanical advantage. This thing will be fairly easy to get around. Maybe not on your lawn. Probably going to want to keep it mostly on a concrete slab surface, but for getting around on those kind of surfaces, these steel wheels are a really good option. Yeah, and as you notice in this very back part, they have the thermometer on the back. So it's not going to be on the door. And one good thing about that is, closing the door is something that sort of jars the thermometer. So this thermometer is going to work better for longer. Got that probe port. I had to brighten up this picture so you could see that cap a little bit better. That's why it looks a little bright there. Just wanted to make sure that you could see that probe port. We have the cubic firebox. Again, the slide for that back damper goes across it, so that's a good thing. It's going to even out that airflow. Top right, you see the charcoal tray that you can put there. And as I mentioned before, it goes on the slides, I believe, where the reverse flow plate goes. So, it just drop it right in there. And the lower right, you have a picture of what it looks like to cook in the main chamber on one of these. Looks like some steaks there. Steaks look good. Pros, wraparound shelves, slide out racks, wood racks, steel wheels, style. I like the style. I like that angle at the top of the stack. The Fat Daddy logo. I think that may be an upcharge for that logo on the barrel. I'm not sure, but it looks nice if it is an upcharge. The coal tray, the charcoal tray that's standard and goes in the main chamber. Very nice touch there. This one actually has the smallest firebox by volume of any of them. So, kind of a down tick for me there. Uh, as far as it goes, though, I'm sure you can make it work. It'll still work fine. So all right. One thing that I wanted to throw out to you, especially since this is a cheapest show, like what is cheapest, they have a standard Fat Daddy smoker, exact same in almost every regard. You see that it doesn't have the wraparound shelf there. It is an 1/8 inch steel, so exactly half the width of steel from the 1/4 inch, and they sell this for $1,600. And of course, it's not half the price because of all the labor that goes into making one of these. But yeah, for $1,600, if your budget just can't stretch that far, and you want something better than the COS, Oklahoma Joe. Maybe you can make it to this and have something that is gonna last a long time, as long as you need it before you are in the financial position to upgrade. or not. You could just use this standard one for the rest of your life. Maybe it'll probably last that long. But yeah, with that thinner metal, uh, it may not perform exactly as well as the one with the quarter-inch steel. I'm sure you'd be able to move it around your driveway a whole lot easier. Maybe that's the one for you. Maybe you're not planning on doing cooks in and 0 degrees out there in the winter, where the contender would really shine through with that thicker metal. But yeah, so I wanted to throw a shout out to the standard there as well. All right, listed upgrades, and these prices add up quick. You can get a fully insulated firebox with 1 inch insulation. That's 350. Stainless steel rack upgrade, 200. That's the one that tempts me a little bit. Every once in a while, I think, I'd like stainless steel racks. They're easier to clean. They'll last a long time. Drip pan, $40. 36-inch drum at 350. So for the contender, you can actually get a longer barrel. And as we're going to see in the charts, the contender is on the smaller side of space. Doesn't maybe look like it just in the pictures, but that's why I have the actual numbers breaking it down in the chart section. Counterweight is $50. Also very tempting. I think from the price we could fit that under the $2,200 limit. I like a counterweight, a little bit easier to throw that door open. So that seems like a really nice upgrade. And now, the last one on our list here, just under, we've got the Lang original 36-inch patio smoker, $2,195. They've been selling this thing for so long that it. I'm pretty sure it used to be 1,000, maybe even cheaper than that long ago. This thing has been around for a long, long time. But let's take a look at it. When we look at the top right there, we see we've got that rain guard. So that's actually going to keep rain out of your stack if you do get caught in the rain. Glare guard above the temperature gauge, so that's a nice touch. Wraparound shelf, got that wood rack. If you took a look over at the bottom left-hand picture, when you close the door, the door latches kind of seal it in. It gives a really tight seal. So that is actually a nice feature. It's a nice feature. We see that we got the pinwheel damper there on the sides, so not actually on the door itself. And if you look around on the other side, I think there's one on the reverse side of where we're looking. Wheels with rubber tires, so we've seen that before. Grease drain spigot. Oh yeah, keep those hands nice and clear of that grease. Pull out top rack. So that is actually a change that they made. They used to have just it looked like a little table rack that they put in there. A friend of mine, I'll give him a shout out. He has a channel called My Porch Barbecue, and he does a review of this smoker with the older style, and you can actually see what that looks like if you go to his video. Pros and cons. So the wraparound shelf, very nice. Slide out top rack, very nice now. Rubber tires, rain guard, sun guard, tight fit main chamber door, spigot, grease management. Grease management isn't something that I've talked about a whole lot yet, so I'm going to take a quick second to do that now. Um, One thing about these reverse flow smokers is that there's an expectation that some of that grease that drips down is going to be vaporized by the heat uh, of the actual plate. Now, when you're cooking low and slow, how much of that is going to actually happen depends on the temperature of the plate, right? Safe to say that maybe not all of it is going to vaporize, which is why they have the drains on these things to begin with, but how the grease actually gets there. And maybe I should have done a little bit more research on what grease management systems all these have. But I am going to throw out that I do believe that there is, some sloping that brings the grease to a place where it can go out that spigot for the Lang smoker. And I'm not sure about that for the rest of these, right? Especially the ones where they have the charcoal tray and the the plate, the reversible plate is drop in and take out. It occurs to me that maybe they don't have a system like that. So, that's another trade-off, right? Maybe a little bit more cleaning on those, but you have the option of cooking with charcoal in the main chamber. Whereas here, you definitely do not. Cons, small firebox, and again, tires, they won't last. Now, listed upgrades, skids for 200 extra for turf pneumatic tires and one swivel front axle for 600. So that's kind of like a rover kind of mode. Stainless steel racks for additional price. You got to call. Stainless steel has been so crazy over the last year or so that they just won't list it anymore. They can customize it further. There's a lot of upgrades to this Lang. If you watch my other episode on reverse flow smokers, I go into further details on what they do to add like a charcoal cooking chamber and other things. So if you're into Lang, definitely check that episode out as well. Especially if you do have the money to spend a little bit higher for one of these smokers. And it's now time for charts. All right, so here we have the price chart. You can just see it sort of visually. Um, Matt's BBQ Pits down there at 1700, and the Lang 36 up there at 2195. You know, keeping it below 2200. A lot of these, it's pretty close, right? I think maybe the difference between the Mats and the Canon is maybe even the biggest between the two there. So this is for the lower rack. We have, and this kind of gives you maybe a better idea of how big the chamber is. So 525 for the Fat Daddy. Now the Lang, which has 540, the inches don't actually extend all the way to the far side, according to my friend who owned one previously. You have that heat come up around the plate, and you may have a hot spot on that farther end. Some of these that go further in that direction, you may not be able to use all that space. Just wanted to throw that in there. 551.25 for the Cannon Pits, 608 for both the Johnson and the Cat, and then 684 for the Matt's Smoker. I definitely think there's a good chance that the heat coming up would make maybe a hot spot on the left side of that Matt's 20 by 40. But just to make it fair, I want to say that inches squared total. So when you add that secondary rack, now one of the things here is that I think for this Canon pit, I don't think we ever saw that second rack in any of the pictures, but when I asked via email, he did give me a size for the second rack, and I'm not even sure entirely. Like I said again, with what came standard, what didn't, whether that extra one would come in the pricing that we have for it. Might be an upcharge, but I'm going to show you the numbers that I got via email. So it's going to be 803, smallest, 944 for the Lang, second smallest, 950 for Fat Daddy. The Johnson Compact Patio, 1120, Cat, 1125, and the Matt is going to be the biggest, 1129. Dollar per inches square total. Matt's going to be cheapest. Canon's going to be most expensive. And I don't know that it's exactly reversed from what we had before. Maybe a few of them jumped around a little bit. You can see it here. The Matt is way down there. Again, like I said, where the heat comes around that plate might be a little bit on the hot side. So just keep that in mind. But I'll let you take a look at this for yourself. All right, estimated weight. Now, these numbers are probably not super accurate. The Lang over there at 665 is probably the most accurate. They've been doing it for a long time. I'm sure they've measured and weighed their smokers. Um, some of these other smaller outfits don't weigh them. You know, maybe they get a weight for how much it is on a pallet, but they won't weigh them. Just the smoker itself. But apparently, the Lang may be the heaviest. All right. And I'm not going to do dollar per pound on this one just because these weights are perhaps very inaccurate. I think somebody said, between 400 and 500 pounds, and I put it at 475. It might be the Johnson. You know, I'm going to relay those numbers, but I'm not going to put a whole lot into them. All right, volume of Firebox. So I made the calculations for each of these. The Fat Daddies is the smallest. The Cannon Pits, strangely enough, with the smallest amount of space in the actual cooking chamber, is the largest. And then Matt's right there after that. And lastly, my thoughts. This is a hard one for me. For my own preference, I prefer a round firebox. Now, a lot of people love their square fireboxes, but I just like the cup of the bottom for making a fire. Which limits it to the Johnson and Matt's barbecue pits. If the smokestack was on the back of the Matt's, it would totally be that one. Not super enthused about the wheels on the Mats. If I would probably try to upgrade the Matt's barbecue pits a little bit. Maybe in the wheels. Maybe ask if they could put the stack on the back of the chamber itself there. Of course, that takes up some of the space that you would have for the pot warming area. I wouldn't mind. I would be like, hey, I want, the most even draw here through the smoker. So if I were really doing this, maybe that's the way I would go. But I have to say, I don't think that you're going to be disappointed with any of these. I think all of them are going to make you some really great barbecue. None of these smokers just has like I can look and say is like super way better than the other ones or way worse. And maybe you've picked out your favorites just from watching this video. So one thing that I would say is that maybe, location could be the biggest factor. I would start off looking with whoever's closest to you, and maybe if one of these really has piqued your interest, take the closest one and compare it with that one, and definitely factor in that shipping cost. If you're in Oregon, Cat's right there. If you're in the Midwest, Fat Daddy's right there. The Southeast, and maybe Lang is closer to you. Now Texas, you have options, right? You can barely throw a stone and not hit a pit builder over there. Unfortunately, they're pretty central to the country, so uh, they could be a good option too. But yeah, just don't forget the shipping costs in all of this. That's it. And of course, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if you own one of these smokers, yeah, please put a review down there and share with us as a community of barbecue brethren. So thank you so much for watching. And as always, you know what? Go get your smoke on, y'all.